Hey guys, how's it going? My name is The Mountain, and today I'm going to be showing you a few games of me playing as Malygos Rogue. The goal is to try and give you some insight into kind of what I'm thinking and how to make good choices while playing the deck. So here we go. Okay, so first thing, we're against a Warlock. This means that we're probably playing against Zoo. The key against Zoo is, under all circumstances, to maintain board control. So we're desperately looking for cards like Backstab, Deadly Poison, SI7 Agent. We do have the coin, which is a huge deal in this matchup. Rogues are naturally better with the coin. And so we're going to be mulliganing for an extremely hard early game. Um, Basically, if we fail the early game, we'll know by turn 5 whether or not we have a chance to win this game. So this is rough. Neither of these help particularly in the early game. But we do get our fan. And the fan is good because that's going to help against Forbidden Ritual. In this instance, he did not play a 1-drop, which is particularly interesting. So we'll see if we're actually facing Zoo, or if we have something that we weren't expecting. So the simplest thing to do as a rogue is to turn to Dagger. Given that his start was a little bit slow, I think that that's probably safe. The question then becomes, how do we use our Dagger? And dealing 1 damage to the 2-drop makes sense because in the event of the next turn, we can heal and clear whatever comes out, or potentially Fan of Knives to be able to clear the entire board. Okay, so with that entrance, it's still possible that this is Zoolock, but it is also possible that it is Reno Handlock. So we're going to see how this turns out. We definitely want to clear Bran immediately, and the easiest way to do that is with Eviscerate. We will probably have to use our coin this turn, although it would be nice not to. It really depends on whether or not we're comfortable going into the next turn without a dagger. But if we're playing against Reno Handlock, we have a higher chance of winning, even if we sacrifice the early game. So I'm going to hedge my bets, play safe, and make sure that I get my dagger next turn, because in the event that we are still facing Zoo, we want to be able to keep control of the board. You can see that I'm at 24 health and he's at 30 health, and this plays into the idea of using your health as a resource pool. If this is Zoo, and that certainly looks like Zoo, to which we have a great answer. Our health really doesn't matter because Zoo doesn't have burst other than it's that 5/7 charger dude, the Doom Guards. So in this case, we have a fairly clean play with the Blood Mage into Eviscerate. That's pretty much the only way we're going to get to the Councilman. The other option, no, there really isn't any other option in this because we can't get Fan and SI7 out at the same time. So this works. I'm not hugely concerned about it. The question now is whether or not we decide to use the dagger on this guy. It does, again, I'm inclined to take the damage now and clean leave the possibility to be able to clean it up if he decides to trade into the Thalnos, which he probably will. Oh man, wouldn't it be nice if he left our Thalnos alone? Okay, so here's where we get to make our power play, and this should win us the game. We have our backstab, we have our SI7 agent, we have our dagger. Between that, that's still only 3 mana. We have another 2 to play with. That'll allow us to dagger back up. We'll have full board control, and that should essentially end the game. Okay, from this position, we have board control, and there's very little that he can do to hurt us at this point. I'm almost inclined to use prep into fan. It feels a bit weak. Ooh, the other option is to Earthen Ring Farseer and heal our SI7 agent after we trade, and I think that might be the way that I go. We have 6 mana to work with. Zero Poisoned Mind would be nice to get, but there's only a 25% chance that we get the 2 damage toxin. And to be honest, it always feels a little less than that. I don't think we need Shadow Strike for anything anymore, so I'm going to go like this. We now have 2 cards on board, but not complete board control. The positive news is that he cannot trade directly into either of these without buffing his minion, which he will do, don't get me wrong, but we're in a good spot. Now we start to see the first tap. There's a trade, but again, that's no problem. We retain board control. What he's going to do with the next 3 mana, Imp Gang Boss, is possible. But again, with Fan, that doesn't scare us, and that doesn't scare us at all. Sounds good. Okay, so we have a Sinister Strike. So our turn is really simple. We're going to Zero Poison Mind and essentially eat 2 damage in order to clear that. Might have played that improperly because I didn't get my draw first, but Zero is the right tool for this turn, so I don't think there's anything I could have drawn that would have changed my mind. Again, at 19 health, there's absolutely nothing he can do that will scare us. So I am not worried about taking damage at all. We can get away with clearing this cleanly by using our Deadly Poison, keeping our entire board state, and even getting another toxin if we wanted to. I don't think it's a priority right now, but it does represent something we can do later. I'm going to save the low-cost spell, however, because if and when I did not expect Mortal Coil. If and when we get our Gadgetzan Auctioneer, it is another way for us to cycle easily. Three, 5. Okay, so we can make a tempo play here and sap his Dude face, Darkshire Councilman, because we can't easily, well, we can kill it, but we lose both our dudes in the process and leave him with 2/1/1s. We do have 2 pieces of our combo, our game finishing combo in hand, so Thaurissan on this turn is good. The question is whether we want to sap or trade. Taking 3 damage at this point will put us at 14. Taking another 4 next turn will take us to 10, which is scary, but if he leaves Emperor Thaurissan on the board too long, he's going to wind up in a world of hurt. So I think he will prioritize killing this over anything else. For that reason, I think I'm going to go ahead, take the chance, and go with this line of play. It's very tempting. No, sorry, I thought that was the Fade Leaf Toxin, not the Briar Thorn. So short of the Leroy PO combo, I think we're in a good spot. Okay, he's pushing for damage, which I'm not hugely concerned about, and you can see why. So from here, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Let's see if we can draw into lethal. Prep does not draw us into lethal. So we're going to sap this. Trade here. And take our shot. That is the least effective Emperor tick I have seen in my whole life. Eight damage, however, is no small matter in terms of the impending Doom Guard. So we do have to be very worried about a Doom Guard now. Okay, let's see if we can cycle into lethal now. 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, we found it. All right, so that kind of shows you how to approach a Zoo Warlock as a Malygos Rogue. The important thing was gaining board control early. Without board control early, you lose that game very, very early on. Like I said, turn 2, turn 3, if you can't keep at least an equal board, which is a clear board, or establish board control by like turn 4 or 5, there's almost no chance you're getting back in the game. Warlocks, as I mentioned, generate most of their power from onboard presence and buffing minions that can attack that turn, but they don't run chargers. So, there you go. Okay, so that match seemed to go okay, so we'll try another one. Here we go. Obviously, not every match goes that well, but sometimes you find wins. I may have been a little bit too liberal with my use of health on that one, but yeah, may have been too liberal. Okay, so this time we don't have the coin. We're fighting against a paladin. If it's a N'Zoth paladin, we want to get a quick start. I'll have to think about this one. He'll be playing Doomsayers. Sapping a Doomsayer is not the best in the world. If we look at the cards that give us the most value, We're going to try and out-tempo our opponent, because if we wait long enough, he's going to drop Rag, and that's going to cause us issues. The other possibility is that he is an aggro paladin, and if that's the case, then we're looking for Fan of Knives and another strong start. So there's a Fan of Knives, and an SI7 agent, and Sir Edwin. We don't have any play until turn 3, but that should be okay. We'll see how aggressive he turns out to be. Okay, so turn 1 pass generally means that we're going to be against a N'Zoth Paladin. We are looking for a fast start. I tend to hold my dagger when possible, but putting in 1 damage now may be helpful. So let's see what happens. Alright, so we have a very slow start. Again, this is encouraging us from the perspective of being a N'Zoth Paladin. Dropping an SI7 agent without leveraging its battle cry on turn 3 is not a negative thing. People who play Rogue have a tendency to overvalue the combo. Don't get me wrong, the combo is good, but it is not more important than creating board control. Clearing a 1/1 in this instance is not a huge concern. If he does manage to Blessing of Kings, that 1/1, we've misread his deck. And for me, it is more important at this exact moment to put pressure on him to blow his equalities early. If we can get him out of equalities, then there is the possibility that we can push forward and establish a better board later in the game. Looking at our position in the game right now, we are heading into turn 5, which is where the mid-game starts. We already have our Auctioneer, but we have no low-cost spells, so we're not in a position to be able to cycle in the short term. Looking at this, we have a fairly safe Fan. We get 2, and we don't really have a strong play to follow that up with. That being said, given that we are aiming for him to burn his equalities, we don't have a strong desire to drop an Azure Drake here because it just makes it too juicy. As that's the case, we can Fan, we can cycle our card, we can draw into potentially a cheaper spell for next turn for our Auctioneer, and we can Dagger, which is always fun. So I think that's probably the route we're going to take this time. So we Fan, and that is in fact a low-cost spell. For that reason, I'm going to hold my Dagger to try and get a little bit of extra oomph out of it. But we can look for him to do some shenaniganry with, okay, Humility. Oh, a Kodo. Love me some Kodos. That's not... Okay, we have the possibility of cycling twice. And if we cycle into a backstab, which we have like a little over a 10% chance to do, we can clear this. But I think a little more aggressive would be to we can push for the deadly SI7 coin Edwin, maintain a bigger board, and still clear his minion. So I'm probably going to go that way. So that gives me 3 damage. That gives me 2. I'm worried that I might be overcommitting to the board slightly, but if he can't answer this, we're in great shape. In general, we're playing to win, not playing to not lose. If he doesn't have a good answer to this, the game is over. So there's an adage that says that there are no bad threats, only bad answers. And in this case, if he doesn't have a good answer to Edwin, that represents the alternative win condition of, the big unanswered Edwin or out-tempoing our opponent, both of which are good news for us. So we have an unanswered Edwin. Huh. I don't even know where to go from here. Obviously, we have to push hard. If we drop an Azure Drake, we can drop an Azure Drake and cast a 4 damage Sinister Strike. We can also do the same thing with Thalnos, but we don't cycle. If we drop the Gadget Zan, we can... Okay. So from his deck, if he has a 2-of, he has a 10% chance of drawing it next turn. And if he doesn't, we are so golden. Okay, so then the question becomes, I can't make the best use of Gadget Zan here. So I think what I'm going to do is draw a card, look for an Abyss. Shadow Strike is not good enough. So now I'm going to Sinister Strike and push. So he had a 10% chance of drawing his Equality this turn. It is still entirely possible that he has a big taunt or something. That's the card that he drew. So let's see where this goes. He is dry. And now if he... Oh, there you go. So that is interesting because what that demonstrates is the alternative win condition of the deck. So that's pretty lucky that we got a chance to see that, which is to drop the big unanswered Edwin and basically beat them to death with it, which is fine. Again, in the last 2 games, you haven't actually seen Malygos drop, which is an important part of this deck. Malygos is not the only win condition. Depending on the matchup and who you're facing, your win condition, you have a number of win conditions available for the deck, and that's what makes this combo deck, for me anyway, really fun to play. There's a lot of different ways to find a win, and this is one of them. All right, let's try one more game. See what we get. You can see that I had a unsuccessful game previously. Druid. Okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, so with Cthulhu Druid, they generally have fair minions. They drop 1 a turn. You have an opportunity to deal with them, and as a result, you can take advantage of the tempo-oriented aspect of the game. So we're going to try and do that. Shiv does nothing against the quality of minion that they drop. Emperor is too late. And a plain 3-drop is fine. But I'd like to see something a little nicer. Well, on the plus side, we won't have to search for auctioneers. Okay, that gives us a 4. Now we have to make some hard choices about dealing with the opening from this druid. Okay, so he's coined Wild Growth, which means he probably has a 3-drop. The 3-drop in this instance is a 3/4, so having an Eviscerate is going to help. We're looking for anything that would allow us to not have to use our backstab next turn. The alternative is all he really has is a hero power, which would be great news. But we'll see. He did waste the coin to Wild Growth, so that heavily implies that he has either a 3-drop or an Innervate into Nourish, which would be backbreaking. This is not the deck I expected, and also gives us a very good reason to backstab. So we will take it. Dragon Druid. Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't know how this match will go. Innervate. Double Innervate shenanigans. Sap, please. Dat, not a sap. So we'll start with this, and next turn we may end up taking a lot of damage. We're hoping he doesn't get a 4 damage removal, which would be wiped into Wrath. Yes, okay. Double Wrath. Double draw. This game could go downhill fairly quickly. Shiv. Alright, let's play our cards. We may end up taking a lot of damage before we get to do anything here. And his card advantage is only going to go up. I was much happier. Okay. On the plus side, we can clear that. Shiv first. And that is, ugh, I hate it when cards move. Pretty reasonable response, all things considered. Okay, so he has lots of cards and lots of mana, and we have a 3-drop, which will play directly into Corruptor. So he has 2 Chill Maws. Okay, so we're going to burn ourselves out. That kind of works. Sap into this, we'll get rid of it for now. We'll get our Emperor. This looks less bad than it did last time. You cannot redrop the Maw and clear Auctioneer at the same time. Well, that's one way to play it. I kind of like the idea of keeping Shadow Strike, given the position we're in. So this is going to give us a couple of important reductions. Obviously Malygos and Sinister Strike, but also Gadgets in, meaning we can potentially get a few more cycles in. I don't know that he has enough removal. I just don't know. Okay. So, the really interesting thing right here is the fact that Shadow Strike at this moment can be used on our opponent. And for that reason, I don't think I'm going to use it to kill Chillmaw unless I have to. I'm going to go with this line of play again. At this point, I'm still fine, so I think I'm going to cycle a little more. Here's an eviscerate. Okay, so this is largely going to come down to can he clear? He can't. There's our last Sinister Strike. So can we get to prep? That's going to be the main question. Okay. Ready, guys? Here we go. 10. We didn't make it. Do we think he can kill us next turn? 12 damage. We can do 12 damage. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's leave it up. Let's see what happens. 8. He needs to find 9 damage from hand. And or kill my Malygos. We saw him get rid of his silences, I believe. He probably runs a mulch. He's playing the deck this slow. He's probably running a mulch. One would think he's running a mulch. All right, we'll take it. Yep, we will definitely take it. All right, so there's the combo. And that represents a good example of what happens when you play against a deck that doesn't have the burst to be able to take you out. You can see that that druid had lots of high-quality minions that were powerful and that were dangerous, but without the ability to burst us down, we simply drew into the combo, and he didn't have an answer for Malygos, and not having an answer for Malygos doesn't go well. So there you go. Hope you learned a little bit about Malygos Rogue and how to play it, some of the decisions that are made while playing the deck, and hope you learned something. Cheers.